Hello guys and guyz, and welcome to my Minecraft intro tutorial that I have been promising since my 2,000 subscriber mark. I know a lot of you guys have been requesting this, a lot of you guys actually. So anyways, here we go. I made it in Adobe After Effects CS6, which is the newest Adobe After Effects as of this recording, and it's really simple, really easy. So yeah, before we get started, let me show you the final result. And that's what it will look like when you're all done. So before we get started and me showing you how to do it, let me just tell you a few things that you'll need before we start. Alright you guys, so this is what you'll need for this little put together. You're gonna need, first of all, a logo. That's very important for your intro, as it's your sort of branding, to put in your intro right before your video. You're also obviously going to need Adobe After Effects CS6. This will work in Adobe After Effects CS5 and I think a few versions before, but just to make sure we're on the same step, you're gonna need CS6, just so everything looks the same and stuff. You can get this from Adobe's website just by googling it, or going to their website linked down in the description, and you can download a 30-day free trial from them, so that way you can try it out, make this intro with all the full features of Adobe After Effects for 30 days, and after that you will need to pay. I know it sucks, but it's really nice if you just want to make this awesome intro, and it gives you 30 days to mess around with the product, and hey, if you like it, then you'll be able to get it. You're gonna need some starting knowledge with Adobe After Effects. I mean, I'm gonna be doing a few things, so if you're not familiar with the keystrokes or anything like that, go watch an awesome video that I put down in the description that will get you used to everything in Adobe After Effects before we start. And last of all, you're going to need an idea of what your intro is going to look like inside of your head before we start to make it. This is really important, as is we are going to be making it, and it's not going to look good if you don't have a good idea of what you want it to look like in your head. I want to mention that I don't want you to make your intro exactly like mine. I want you to make your own deviations to it, make it your own, brand it yourself. But don't just completely copy off me, and I just want you guys to learn, main of all. And also, you're gonna need a nice song to put in the background of your intro, so make sure it's not copyrighted. I would hate for you guys to get taken down for copyright. I have a few good websites where you can download some royalty-free music where you're allowed to use them in your videos for free, and I think that's pretty much all you'll need for this, and yeah, let's get started. Alright you guys, so here we are in Adobe After Effects. The first thing you want to do is make a new composition like always. Call this one main comp. And I can't spell because my microphone is in the way of my keyboard. Alright, same 30 frames per second, 1920 by 1080. Let's call it 10 seconds. Because we don't need it to be any longer than that, because my intro was like 10 seconds and that's it. Hit OK. There you have your main composition. Next thing you want to do is grab a texture for your background in Google Images, so just type in texture. Alright, go to Images, find a texture you like. I like, which one do I like? I'll call it this one. Click View Original Image. That'll bring up a full scale image. Right click, Save As. And you're going to want to find a remote folder that you're going to be dumping all your files that you download into. Mine is going to be called tutorial files, and I'm just going to save it as texture. Alright, once you have that saved, you can then drag it into Adobe After Effects, drag it into main comp right here. Boom, you've got it in your main comp. Now it's a little bit too bright for comfort, so I'm going to press T on my keyboard and drag the opacity down. That looks about right. And now we're gonna make that pop up. So in my intro, I have the little emerald that pops up and does its thing in the middle and shakes and stuff. So we're gonna want to have that emerald. So to find that emerald, we're gonna go to the Minecraft wiki, and you can just search the Minecraft wiki, and it'll bring you to a website. You click on it, and we're gonna find where it says items right there. So we're gonna click items, right? And it'll give us a whole list of items down here. Now, what I want to come up and shake, let's just, what should we have? Let's have it be a, sorry, my phone is ringing. Okay, so let's have it be a, let's call it an ender pearl. Alright, I don't want to make it exactly like mine. So you're going to want to click the big image of the ender pearl right here, and you're going to find one of these, and you're going to do the same thing you did with the texture. That was right clicking and saving image as. Alright, once you've done that, find your tutorial files or wherever you're putting everything and save it. Alright, so now you're going to want to open up that file, that folder, sorry, with all your files in it that we've downloaded, and you're going to want to find the ender pearl or whatever item you're using that's as a pop-up, and you're going to want to right click and open with paint.net, which you guys know I love. And the reason why we're doing this is it's way too small. It's only 20 pixels across, and that's going to make it blurry when we upscale it in Adobe After Effects. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up here to Image, Canvas Size, and we're just going to bump this up. Make sure you check Maintain Aspect Ratio, and we're just going to bump this up by 1,000 here. And boom, we get a nice big canvas. Now what you're going to want to do is reselect your little ender pearl. Make sure you don't get any of the white in there. And that looks a little bit imperfect, so I'm going to grab my white selection tool, and we're just going to broaden our selection. And we're going to hit the blue selection move tool, and we're going to bring it up. Now as you see, it blurs just like Adobe After Effects would have done if we hadn't have taken the step, but we can fix that by going up here to Quality and choosing Pixelated. As you can see, it sharpened it up, and we can go and expand it to fill this whole entire area. Alright, so once we have it filled, I'm holding shift by the way to keep the aspect ratio, so that's really important that you keep holding shift. Now as you can see, there's still some white on the edges. Let's just grab our magic wand tool, click on it, hit delete, click on it, hit delete, and click on the last little white part and hit delete. Alright, so now it's all upscaled and awesome. You're going to hit Control S, and you can leave all these the same and hit OK. It saves it, and now we have a nice upscaled image. So now what you're going to do is you're going to drag it into Adobe After Effects. And as you see, when we drag it in on top of the texture, if you put it below the texture, it will be hidden beneath the texture, but we want it on top of the texture. As you can see, it's nice and sharp. So we're going to want to zoom out here with our mouse, and by scrolling with our mouse, and we're going to hold shift while we're scaling it down, and we're going to scale it to however big we want it to be. Now to me that looks about right. I think that's about how big I want it to be. Oops, I'm moving background. Control Z. Alright, let's select our pearl again. I think we want to make it about that big. Alright, so we're going to drag it off screen, and what we're going to do is we're going to keyframe that by hitting P while we have this ender pearl selected, and we're going to hit the little stopwatch next to position. We're going to add a keyframe, looks like it's already done it for us, and we're going to move forward, let's call it about 1.5 seconds here. And we're going to drag it up. Let me find it. Alright, we're going to drag it up. Hold space and click to drag your position so I can find it. So I'm holding space. Whoa. I'm holding space and I'm moving it. Alright, and then now that we're 2 seconds ahead, let's move it to where we want to be in that 2 seconds. So I want it to be nice and center right here. Alright, so now it's in the center. If we play that back, it's gonna pop up. So I'm just gonna hit 0 on my numpad here, and as you can see, it pops up. Now it's a little bit direct, like it gets there and it stops right away. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna select that ending keyframe and we're gonna hit F9. As you see the keyframe change there, that's going to make it ease in, so it kind of slows down as it reaches its ending point there, as opposed to I'm holding control and clicking the keyframe to turn it back, as opposed to this where it just stops all abruptly. So I'm gonna hit F9 again to put it back to the way it was. Alright, as you can see, it smooths in. It's really nice. And as you may notice from my intro, it kind of shakes as it comes up. So we're gonna simulate that effect by going to our effects and presets and hitting the X to get rid of whatever's typed in, and we're gonna type in wiggle, W-I-G-G-L-E. Alright, and we're gonna want to grab the wiggle position, and we're gonna want to drag it onto our ender pearl right here. Alright, now that we've done that, we can keyframe the wiggle speed and the wiggle amount. When it starts, we don't want it to wiggle at all, but by the time it reaches about, let's call it 4 seconds, right before it's about to explode, actually 5 seconds is about where it explodes, we're going to want it to shake pretty hard, so we're going to hit it up to about 8 and 12 right there. And as you can see, if I just RAM preview this real quick, let me turn down the quality so it renders real fast. I'm hitting 0 on my numpad to render, or to RAM preview, sorry. And as you can see there, let me just play that back. It kind of starts shaking a little bit more. Actually, we kind of want to shake it a little bit more, so go to the ending keyframe right there and just bump it up even more. Let's call it, yeah, that should be more than enough. Okay, so let's just RAM preview that. Alright, so it comes up and it starts to wiggle, maybe even more still. Let's put the wiggle amount to like 39-ish. Oh yeah, that's good. Okay, so it comes up and then it starts to do its thing, and then it gets pretty violent, and then it just goes, oh okay, so as you see, it put 2 keyframes right next to each other. That's not good. It means it's staying constant from here to here. So we're gonna go to effects, wiggle position, and we're just gonna zoom in right here, and we're going to get rid of these 2 right here. Oops, I hit shift. Okay, we're gonna get rid of these 2 here, so I'm just gonna hit delete on that one and hit delete on that one. Alright, so now we can zoom back out and see how it looks. So I'm hitting 0 on my numpad. As you can see, it gets increasingly more violent of the shaking until the point where it explodes. And so we're gonna want to end the wiggling one frame after it gets to its exploding point. So right here after, we're going to hit down to 0 yet again. So what that does is 1 second afterwards, we keyframed it to stop wiggling. So let me just let it pre-render out there, and there we go. So it comes up, it does its thing, it wiggles, and then it stops and it stands still. Alright, so now we're going to want to import that exploding effect. Now I have all the links down in the description. The exploding effect is one of them, so let me just import that real quickly. I'll just import it. You guys will download it to your folder and just import it like you normally would. Alright, let me just locate it, and it would be right, hold on. Okay, so if you have downloaded the explosion file, you're going to want to drag in charge 14 WMVV9, and that is the name of the file. So you drag it in like you did with the other clips, and you put it on top here. So we're going to find where the explosion starts right about, well, put your playhead to where it stops wiggling, and find where the explosion starts by moving it back and forth. Alright, so it starts right around here, and we're going to expand it so it fills the whole screen. Now you may be wondering, whoa, what's happening? It's all black and not good because it's blocking our background. Well, to fix that, you go over here to blending mode, and if you don't see blending mode, you might need to hit toggles and switches, and you're going to hit blending mode, and you're going to hit screen, and that's pretty much going to make it so that all the black has been turned into transparency, and as you can see, the explosion happens, but it's way too small. So what we're going to do is we're gonna go to where we see it, and then we're just gonna zoom out and we're gonna scale the explosion to make it fit right where the ender pearl is. So you might have to scroll out quite a big bit, but that looks like it's good enough. Looks like quite the spectacular explosion. So it goes boom, and then actually might be way too big. Alright, go to the frame where the fireball is at its peak, its biggest exploding point, and just scroll back in. And to me that looks good. So if you're pleased with it, hit 0 on your numpad, play it back, see how it looks. Let's take a look here. Alright, so it goes up, it starts to wiggle, and it explodes. Now, here's where you're going to want to import your logo. Just double click in your project browser and find your logo. So mine is going to be right here. Okay, where is it? I'm really unorganized. It's under, yeah, right here. So you're gonna want to find your logo. Mine is right around here somewhere. Right here. Alright, so find your logo, make sure it has a transparent background. Mine's right here. Import it and drag it in on top. Now as you see, the logo is right there. You're going to want to go to where it stops wiggling and the explosion is done, or actually where the explosion is at its peak, which would be right here. And by peak I mean where the explosion is the largest in diameter, and then you can put the start of your logo right there. So as you see, I put the beginning of the little logo clip right there. Alright, now you're going to want to hit T on it and keyframe the opacity at the beginning. Actually unkeyframe it and then move your playhead to the beginning. Hold shift, it snaps it to the beginning of your clips. So if you hold shift and drag the playhead to the beginning of your logo, hit opacity, keyframe it at 0, so drag it down to 0, and then go a few frames forward and keyframe it at 100%. So if you look at that, I hit B to start the render area there and end render area. Alright, so that's how it looks. It explodes and then my logo appears. Now as you may notice, my logo in my intro kind of moves forward a little bit. So to keyframe that, you're gonna hit P on your keyboard and keyframe the position. Or I'm not sure where my playhead is. Right there? Okay. Unkeyframe it and keyframe it when you're at the beginning of the clip. Alright, so when you're at the beginning of the clip, you want your logo to be right here, but then you want it to gradually get bigger as you get towards the end of your intro. So go to where you think your intro is going to end. Mine's going to be around 8 seconds. And just keyframe the position. Oh, sorry. My bad. It's not keyframing the position. It's keyframing the scale. So go back to the beginning again. Uncheck the position stopwatch. Hit your clip and click S for scale. Alright. Keyframe your beginning. And then go to about 8 seconds where you want to end. And bring it up. Not too much, just enough to make a noticeable difference in the scale. So as you can see, it gets much bigger. Alright, so let's just play that back. It explodes and my logo appears and slowly advances forward. Alright, so that's all good, but we still need the items flying out in the background. So that looks pretty much finished, except for we might want to put the charge on top. So you select your charge for wherever it was and just drag it up to the top, and that way the explosion goes over the logo. I don't know if you see that, and that way the sparks at the end kind of fly off the logo, as you see right there. It's a really nice effect of the sparks kind of like hitting the logo. It looks really nice, and then it ends right there. So next up, you want the little items that fly out from behind the ender pearl, or in my actual intro, the emerald. So what you're going to want to do is do the same thing you did to get the ender pearl, and that was go to the wiki and go to their homepage. Right, and wait for it. Minecraft Wiki is being slow. Okay, and then find the items and scroll down until you find, let's call it 4, but you can repeat this as many times as you want. I'm just gonna pick 4 items that fly out from behind it, but this is repeatable, so you can have 1,000 items flying out from behind it if you so choose. So I'm just gonna pick a bottle of enchanting. I opened that up in a new tab. Let's have a glistening melon, a slime ball, and a golden ingot. So we have all these opening up in the background. Let's just start with the bottle enchanting, and I'll speed this footage up of the upscaling in paint.net so you guys don't have to watch me do it all over again. Alrighty guys, so once you have all 4 of your items that you want to fly out from the back of your main item, once you have them all upscaled in paint.net, you can then select all of them, and let's just actually make a new folder called background items. Alright, so you're going to want to expand that folder, and then you're going to want to find your actual background items, and you're going to want to drag them in there, and there you have all 4 of your items. Now what we're going to do is we're actually going to create a new composition so we keep everything nice and organized. So we're going to hit the new composition, and we're going to hit, we're going to name it items, or better yet, background items. Alright, keep it the same as your first one. 10 seconds is fine, doesn't really matter. And you're going to want to drag in all of your items. So as you see, it put all of your items in there. Now with all of them selected down here, you're going to want to click them and scale them down to about the size you want them to be when they pop out behind your main item. So let's have them be about that big. So they're all going to start in the middle here, so you're going to select all of them and hit P. And you're going to want to keyframe with all of them selected, hit the little stopwatch, and that's pretty much keyframed its position. Now you're going to go to the end of your composition. Let's call it, well, it starts at about 4 seconds and goes till the end, so let's just have it go for 4 seconds, and we're going to select our first one, which is the slime ball, and we're going to drag it out to about right here where it flies out, and then we're going to select the gold item, or the gold ingot. We're going to drag it out to about right there. We're going to select the watermelon, drag it out to about right there, and a bottle of enchanting, and put it right there. We're going to select all of these ending keyframes just by clicking and dragging, and hit F9 yet again. So as you can see, they kind of just, boom, they come out. Now in my intro I had them spiral also, so let's do that real quick. Go back to the beginning with your playhead, select all of them, and hit R for rotation. Keyframe the beginning by hitting the stopwatch, and then go to where they finish, which is right about here. And then you want to have all of them rotate. You might want to do these individually to have a little bit of originality when it comes to rotating, because you don't want them to all rotate at the same time. It would look stupid. So as you look at that, that looks cool. That looks cool enough for me. Maybe have the gold one spin a little bit more. Oh, not 8 times. Whoa, okay. Yeah, at the end where it says 1x or 0x, that's how many times it spins. So as you can see, the gold one has a lot of velocity on it spinning there. You're also going to want to select these and hit F9 just to make it consistent. So as you can see, it has a nice little spiral. Boom. Alright, I actually might want to have the other one spin one time around, so I'll hit 1 on each one of them too. Alright, so now that they're all spinning out of control and flying away from the explosion, we can then go back to our main composition right here with our emerald and such and our logo, and we're going to drag in the background items composition right behind the ender pearl, which is right here. So we're going to drag it in right there, and as you can see, it starts right there, and then yeah, they start to spring out pretty late. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to find the first frame where they start to pop out, and you're going to keep that in your mind and go to where the explosion is, and then start it right around there. So as you can see, the explosion happens, and then they fly out kind of slow. Now, you don't want them to fly out that slow, so we're going to go back into our items composition. We're going to just speed that process up a little bit by dragging them into about 2 seconds. And don't forget, we had the position keyframes as well, so we're going to hit P while all of them selected, and we're dragging the position down to 2 seconds as well. So all this happens within 2 seconds now. Let's just preview it. Till a little bit slow for my comfort, so we're going to bring it down to 1 second. Get the rotation, bring it down to about 1 second right there. And now you have them kind of... Oh, that's a little bit too early. Alright, so right there, we're going to drag it till they're about hidden. Okay, so now it explodes, and then they fly out like that. So it looks like they are just stopping right here. If you want to fix that, you can, if you want to get fancy and fix that, you can right-click your items composition and go to time and enable time remapping. Just find a few seconds after they stop moving, add a keyframe by hitting the little rhombus right there, and then finding their last keyframe where they move, or the last frame where they move, and just drag that out to the end. So as you can see, that makes it explode and then just kind of slow down at the end. Now, if you want them to fly out faster during the explosion, you just move that a little bit closer. If you want it to take a little bit longer after the explosion for them to pop out, you drag it farther out. I want it to go faster, so boom, and then they slow down until the end where you fade it out. Now, to fade it out, you basically want to compile all these together by selecting all of them and right-clicking and hitting pre-compose. Now, you want to move all the attributes to the new composition and just call this final. Alright, hit OK, and now that you have your final thing right here, this is pretty much it. So you're going to want to find where it ends, and which would be right there, and then you want to add a fade out, and you do that by hitting T on your keyboard, keyframe the opacity where you want it to begin fading out, which is right here, go to where you want it to finish fading out, and then keyframe it down to 0. So that's a nice fade out. So as you can see, let's watch it. Alright, comes up, it does its thing. Oh, this is just it rendering. Alright, so we're going to preview it in 3, 2, 1. Alright, comes up, starts to shake, and then it explodes, and then the items fly out, and then it fades out. Now, you can do some few things to fix it up. What I did is I just kind of made the logo kind of rush towards the camera right as it fades out. So you can simulate that by going back to your main comp, hitting final to get back in here, and then you can keyframe your logo. You can keyframe its scale, so hit S, and then just add a keyframe where you want it to start to brush towards the camera, and then go to the end where it fades out, and then just make it really big by pumping up the scale. Alright, so now if you go back to your main comp, you can see that it goes boom. So let's just preview that. Alright, so that's pretty much it. Let me just drag that a little bit closer. It starts zooming towards the camera a little bit early. Let's see how that does. Yeah, that looks about right. Alright, so I think that's about it. If you guys like this tutorial, make sure to give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends. I know it may have been a little bit complicated, but trust me, just spend a little bit of time learning Adobe After Effects before jumping into this. I did do a lot of things very fast, and if you didn't quite get it, I apologize. But that's pretty much it. There's a lot of things you can do, like turn the ender pearl red as it reaches the point where it explodes, which I did with my intro. You just get a little saturation, or a hue and saturation thing, and then you pump up the red saturation as it reaches the point where it explodes, and then keyframe the opacity between those two and just pump it up. But that's pretty much it. It comes out pretty nice at the end, and I hope you guys learned from it. If you made your own intro, make sure to link it down and make it a video response. I will be accepting all the video responses. So make sure to show me what you guys have done with this, and then yet again, I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to thumbs up, do all the awesome stuff, and check out my other videos, and thank you guys for watching. Peace out. What you want it to look like in your head. I want to mention that I don't want you to make your intro exactly like mine. I want you to make your own deviations to it, make it your own, brand it yourself, but don't just completely copy off me. And I just want you guys to learn, main of all. And also, you're going to need a nice song to put in the background of your intro. So make sure it's not copyrighted. I would hate for you guys to get taken down for copyright. I have a few good websites where you can download some royalty-free music where you're allowed to use them in your videos for free. And I think that's pretty much all you'll need for this. And yeah, let's get started. Alright, you guys, so here we are in Adobe After Effects. First thing you want to do is make a new composition, like always. Call this one main. And after that, you will need to pay. I know it sucks, but it's really nice if you just want to make this awesome intro, and it gives you 30 days to mess around with the product, and hey, if you like it, then you'll be able to get it. You're gonna need some starting knowledge with Adobe After Effects. I mean, I'm gonna be doing a few things, so if you're not familiar with the keystrokes or anything like that, go watch an awesome video that I put down in the description that will get you used to everything in Adobe After Effects before we start. And last of all, you're going to need an idea of what your intro is going to look like inside of your head before we start to make it. This is really important, as is we are going to be making it, and it's not going to look good if you don't have a good idea of what. Hello guys and guyz, and welcome to my Minecraft intro tutorial that I have been promising since my 2,000 subscriber mark. I know a lot of you guys have been requesting this, a lot of you guys actually. So anyways, here we go. I made it in Adobe After Effects CS6, which is the newest Adobe After Effects as of this recording, and it's really simple, really easy. So yeah, before we get started, let me show you the final result. And that's what it will look like when you're all done. So before we get started and me showing you how to do it, let me just tell you a few things that you'll need before we start. Alright you guys, so this is what you'll need for this in comp. And I can't spell because my microphone is in the way of my keyboard. Alright, same 30 frames per second, 1920 by 1080. Let's call it 10 seconds. Because we don't need it to be any longer than that, because my intro was like 10 seconds and that's it. Hit OK. There you have your main composition. Next thing you want to do is grab a texture for your background in Google Images. So just type in texture. Alright, go to Images, find a texture you like. I like, which one do I like? I'll call it this one. Click View Original Image. That'll bring up a full scale image. Right click, Save As, little put together. You're gonna need, first of all, a logo. That's very important for your intro, as it's your sort of branding, to put in your intro right before your video. You're also obviously going to need Adobe After Effects CS6. This will work in Adobe After Effects CS5, and I think a few versions before. But just to make sure we're on the same step, you're gonna need CS6, just so everything looks the same and stuff. You can get this from Adobe's website just by Googling it, or going to their website linked down in the description, and you can download a 30-day free trial from them. So that way you can try it out, make this intro with all the full features of Adobe After Effects for 30 days. And